Building in the cloud? Make sure your environment is secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient with the AWS Well-Architected review. Designed for cloud architects and engineers, WAR helps you assess and improve your cloud infrastructure using 6 key pillars. Optimize workflows and automate processes for seamless cloud operations with operational excellence. Protect your data, systems, and assets while ensuring compliance. Build systems that can withstand failures and recover automatically. Select the right resources to maximize speed and efficiency. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and maximize cloud investment. Reduce environmental impact with responsible cloud practices. By leveraging WAR, you can identify and save 30 to 50% on AWS spend, right-size resources and implement best practices, leverage AWS funding programs for optimization, improve performance and scalability while reducing waste, enhance cost visibility and forecasting to prevent budget overruns. Ready to enhance your cloud environment? Book a session with Development Hub for expert assistance in navigating the AWS framework. Launching your app into the market shouldn't feel like flying blind, especially when there's Development Hub at your disposal. Introducing AWS Marketplace, your go-to-market accelerator built to help application owners scale, sell, and succeed. You probably wonder how this works. Well, think of AWS Marketplace as your runway to scale and Development Hub as your control tower. AWS Marketplace gives you access to millions of AWS customers and makes it easier to sell, deploy, and scale your cloud-based applications globally, faster than ever before. At Development Hub, we guide application owners like you through every step, from optimizing your product listing to navigating AWS terms and setting up seamless billing integration. The result? Faster go-to-market, increased visibility, and simplified procurement for your customers. Development Hub has helped many organizations meet their business digital enablement goals. Reach out to us for professional assistance in navigating the AWS Marketplace. Launching a startup is like preparing a rocket for space. You've got the vision, the crew, and the mission. But without enough fuel, you're not getting off the ground. That fuel is cloud infrastructure, data storage, and AI capabilities. That's where Development Hub comes in, to assist you with the AWS funding and incentives opportunities, offering credits to cover services like storage, compute, and networking, plus technical support and training to keep your startup soaring. Development Hub, as an accredited AWS partner, simplifies the process. We help you apply, redeem credits, and unlock every benefit tailored for your growth and success. Let Development Hub be your cloud-powered co-pilot. Book a session with us, and let's get you started. Building in the cloud, make sure your environment is secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient with the AWS Well-Architected review. Designed for cloud architects and engineers, WAR helps you assess and improve your cloud infrastructure using 6 key pillars. Optimize workflows and automate processes for seamless cloud operations with operational excellence. Protect your data, systems, and assets while ensuring compliance. Build systems that can withstand failures and recover automatically. Select the right resources to maximize speed and efficiency. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and maximize cloud investment. Reduce environmental impact with responsible cloud practices. By leveraging WAR, you can identify and save 30 to 50% on AWS spend, right-size resources and implement best practices, leverage AWS funding programs for optimization, improve performance and scalability while reducing waste, enhance cost visibility and forecasting to prevent budget overruns. Ready to enhance your cloud environment? Book a session with Development Hub for expert assistance in navigating the AWS framework. Launching your app to the market shouldn't feel like flying blind, especially when there's Development Hub at your disposal. Introducing AWS Marketplace, your go-to-market accelerator built.
Good morning. Hello, everyone at home. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Onele Sivuka. I'm the Marketing and Public Relations Officer for Development Hub. Thank you very much for taking time and joining us in our second part of the Building on the Cloud series. Today, we'll be focusing on understanding the AWS Well-Architected Review Framework, also known as WAR. Without wasting any more time, let me introduce our guest for today, who is a software developer and cloud engineer experienced in the field, Ezile Mdodana. Ezile, thank you very much for joining us. You can come forward.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Onele, for such wonderful introduction. So, as Onele said, I'm just gonna be taking you guys through the AWS Well-Architected Review Framework, right? So, I'm just gonna share my presentation with you guys. Please bear with me just a second. Right, I hope you guys can see my presentation. As Onele said, I'm Ezile Mdodana, a software developer and a cloud engineer here at Development Hub. So this is AWS Well-Architected Review, known as WAR. But the nice thing about this WAR, there won't be any guns blazing. It's just going to be AWS Cloud blazing, right? So what I'll be basically taking you through, guys, is how to architect your cloud so that it gives you rain when you want to, and it gives you the sun when you want to, right? So without any further ado, let's get the ball rolling. Let's get our hands dirty, right? So we'll be understanding what is well-architected review. That's the first point. We can't just cover something that don't know why. What is it, right? Secondly, why is it important? Why do you have to go through all the steps that you're going to be going through? Why do we need it, right? And now taking you through the process step by step, because we know what is it, why is it important. Now, how do you do it, right? That's the most important part. How to, right? Then now it gets to the technical and business benefits, because in whatever that you do, you'll actually need to know what are the benefits, right? Because you are doing it. You all need to benefit something at the end, right? And then now we say, okay, how do you get started? Which is very, very simple steps, right? Because you know everything. What is it? Why is it important? The process. But now, where do I start? Right? Where do I go? Who do I call? Right? And all that stuff. Now, let's get started, guys. Right? So basically, WAR is a structured assessment of your AWS workloads against some 6 pillars. There are 6 pillars that were identified by AWS. That's okay. If your workload is aligned with these 6 pillars, it can be regarded as it is well architected, right? Because these are the best practices that have been researched and proven, right? So what you basically need to do, right? You need to define your scope, what is it that you need to do, and involve all the stakeholders that are going to be part of the well-architected review process, right? Then we use the AWS Well-Architected tool to evaluate now your architecture or your workload, right? Because now we have this workload that we want to make it well-architected. Now let's put it there on the tool so that it can actually do the evaluation, right? Now we identify the issues, right? Prioritizing the high-risk issues that may affect your application, which you have on your workload, right? Now, from there, you can basically develop and execute an improvement plan because you have now these high risk issues, improve. We don't want to always have issues or risk in your architecture or workload, right? So now the 6 pillars, I'm just gonna briefly go through them. The first one will be operational excellence, right? That's my favorite, that one. So that's where you automate stuff, you monitor performance, and you iterate your improvement, right? So you never stop improving, right? That's why you say you iterate, continuous improvement in whatever that you do, right? We go to the second one, which is going to be security. That one is very, very, very important. If that one was not important, even you go to sleep without locking your door, right? So that's when now we deal with data protection, whether it's at rest or it's in transit. You control who has access to what, right? Your system has different modules. It's highlighting. So who can access module A and who can access module B, right? And where you need to log all the activities, right? Easily did this at this particular time. Now we have this issue. Why? What were you doing there, right? Someone needs to be accountable and we need to know who's that someone, right? And the third one is going to be reliability, right? We all want to have a reliable system, right? So when you're building a system, you have customers that are going to be using the system. You don't want your customer like, that application might be, no, you don't want that, right? So it needs to be always up, no time for failure, right? So you need to plan ahead, right? Now, if something goes wrong, what is it that I'm gonna do? You can't say no, nothing's gonna go wrong. No, just keep in mind that something is gonna go wrong. But the solution is, what do you do at that particular point, right? You need to plan for recovery, use redundancy so that if something gets messed, you have to have a backup. So the system is always up, 100% up, right? We go to the fourth one, which is performance efficiency. That's when now you right size your resources. Let's say your application needs this amount of resources to be efficient, right? And you provision this amount of resources. No, that's not right sizing. You're going to end up paying more now, right? But your system needs less, right? So that's when now it takes us to cost optimization, which is what business love, right? Business life cost optimization. They want to make more profit, right, and spend less, right? That's the objective. So in cost optimization, that's when now you pay for only what you use, right? You eliminate waste, right? That's why now, okay, you need to study your application or software. Okay, I need this resource and I need to pay for that. If your system is busy, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, right? You need to pay for that particular time, right? Because from 6 to 7 a.m., your system is, no one's using your system. Why do you have to pay for that time, right? So if you're doing that, your costs are not optimized. So we're gonna go through all these processes. How do you conduct and identify such, right? And then the last one is going to be sustainability, right? So we measure your carbon footprint. How do you use your resources efficiently? And you have to optimize resource usage, right? If you notice, all of these 6 pillars are linked, right? And each of these pillars have its unique value. So stuff that we're going to be going through, okay, why do you need security? What's the value, right? Why do you need to optimize your costs? Why do you need operational excellence, right? Don't worry, just be with me. We're going to be going through that, right? So now from there, right, now that we spoke about this war, right? When to conduct war. Someone's going to say, man, I already have an application in production, right? Do I still need war? someone say, I'm still building my application. I have some beta version. Do I need to conduct war? So I'm like, I've been having my application. It's been running for the past 5 years. Do I need to conduct war, right? So these are the stages that we have identified that you need to conduct the well-architected review at the launch of a new workload, right? On AWS, you can run multiple workloads, right? So if you are launching a new workload from the get-go, you need to make sure that your workload will be well architected, right? It's gonna prevent you from a lot of risk and failures, right? Launching a new workload, whether it's production or dev or staging, but you also gonna get to what stages or what boundaries that you need to set for a well-architected review, right? So you can also conduct the well-architected review following a major upgrades of features, right? So your application is going to keep on growing because you keep on building features. Customers are requesting features because they are continuously engaging with your system, right? So now you just push a new feature to production. You now to conduct again. Is my workload still well architected? Do I need to change anything because of this feature? If you need to change, do it immediately so that your workload can stay well architected, right? Before scaling or migrations, right? So one of the things that are very important, the well-architected review makes you to be calm, right? When you're about to scale, you don't need to worry about scaling because well-architected review made you to like, okay, you want to scale, you can scale, sure, right? Because your workload is well-architected. Doesn't matter how many users are busy on my system, it's there, it's ever ready. Whether I'm accessing now is fine, just scale is fine, right? So, but always conduct the well-architected review before you scale or before you migrate, right? So just to be sure, right? And also obviously on a periodic cadence for maybe conduct it two times a year or multiple times a year. After 3 months, we go back to application because we know our world of software, things keep on changing every day, right? So that's why you also need to keep up with the changes, right? Now, okay, maybe once every 3 months, you say, okay, is my workload still okay? And I'm happy. Is there something that I need to change? Do it immediately and move, right? Okay. Now, because we just said all of that information, why is war important, right? So I'm just going to give you an example. So by the time you start building your application, right, where you're writing code, you're meeting with your team, right, there are set of standards or best practices that you need to follow. Obviously, you can write your code in whatever shape or format that you want to, but now there are best practices, stuff that have been identified, right? Researchers came to know this is, if you can do this, can improve efficiency, can improve performance, right? So same thing applies here in the well-architected review. It aligns your workloads to AWS best practices, right? Any field, I would say, it has best practices. If you follow these best practices, surely you're gonna get something out, right? So it aligns the AWS best practices with your workloads, right? It reduces risk. That's number one, right? Because we saw on the pillars of the well-architected review, we have security, right? So you don't want a system that's gonna be always have data breaches. You don't want a system that's not reliable. You don't want a system that's not compliant, right? So the well-architected review is important because it reduces those risks. It takes out no security issues, no reliability issues, right? No compliance issues, right? Now you're just good to go, right? And it optimizes costs, right? As I was saying, we don't need to pay more when we are using less, right? So use this numbers, size of a resource, pay this money. Don't need to use this much, pay this much, or use this much. No, right sizing your resources. That's all. So you pay only for what you need, right? And it enables scalability with confidence. Who doesn't want to scale, right? You have an application that's some sort of an investment, right? So you want to scale to more users. So some people have a big application that are used globally, right? So now if your application or workload is not well architected, you won't be confident when we are scaling, because you'll find out it won't be performing, it won't be reliable, and there'll be security issues, right? So now the well-architected review say, no, let's walk this path, right? So that when you scale, you're confident. Even if they wake you up tomorrow, we're scaling, we have 1,000 more users, we have 500,000 more users, it's fine. Jump in. My system is gonna be there. You need to have that confidence. That's what the well-architected review gives you, basically, right? So now, as we're mentioning these 6 pillars of the well-architected review, right? Each of these holds a certain value, right? So if we speak about operational excellence, where now automation is involved, right? Now we have faster iterations. We can do stuff, redo it, because we are automating stuff, right? And because stuff is automated, right? The automation tools have been tested and trained, right? So they have many, very minimal issues, right? Or incidents. So we have less incidents than a machine can do something maybe 100 times faster than you if you are doing manually, right? So imagine if you're doing stuff manually, then you automate, right? Follow just the steps you gave to it, right? So faster iterations, fewer incidents, right? Security, that one, very, very important, guys, right? That's why you also lock your door when you're sleeping, right? You need to be secured. That's why we have police stations, right? So that's the same principle applies to softwares or data, right? Reduce security breach, right? Don't want someone saying, I was using that system from now. My data has been spotted in data breaches. Now, so you don't want that in your system. Eh? So now we go to reliability. You need to be highly available. Let's say you have an application, software as a service application that's being used globally, right? Now, so if you're in South Africa, the application works best. But if you are in Europe, the system gets to be slow now. You don't want that. You need to be highly available, right? Doesn't matter where you access the system from. Doesn't matter who you are. The system, you need to get the best experience out of it. Whether it's 12 o'clock midnight, the system needs to be available. Whether it's 9 o'clock in the evening, it's fine. The system needs to be 100% available. And we need to have some sort of disaster recovery. What if something happened to that server that's storing your data? How are you gonna be able to recover that data, right? These are the things that you need to think of, right? So the well-architected is there for that, right? You get these values from the well-architected review, right? Performance, so meets demand efficiently, right? It doesn't matter as I was saying. We are 5 using the system. The experience should be smooth, system fast, efficient, performant, right? 500,000 of us, it's fine, right? Your system is there. It's just okay, I'm here. Whatever that you want, doesn't matter how many of you guys are. I'm just gonna do what I'm told to do at the pace that I can do. Doesn't matter what, doesn't matter, right? Cost optimization, that's one you get the benefit there is clear, just one way. Better return of investment, right? So you're investing on a software. Let's say for this software that we're hosting, right, on our workload, we are generating 10 Rand, right, from the software. But now the cloud cost is now 15 Rands. There's no ROI there, right? So that's why we need to optimize costs so that the cloud costs are this much, but what we make out of the application is this big. You get what I'm saying? So now the value of sustainability will be support green initiatives, right? We need to protect our world as well, right? Because these natural resources we need every day. So protect what you need so that tomorrow you're not gonna struggle, right? We need to work with nature, guys. Very important, that one. Right. Okay. So now I've been saying, what is why is it important? 6 pillars. Someone saying, no, Brahman, like, what is the process, right? Some people are just there to action, right? They don't want to go left and right, top, down. No. How do I do it, right? Now that's the part now. You say, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, right? So this is the process overview of the well-architected review, right? So the first step, you engage, you discover, you assess, you remediate, you document, you improve. So this thing is a cycle. I did say at the beginning of this presentation that you never stop improving, right? So this thing is gonna be a loop from engage to improve, then you start, right? So that your system needs to always up to par with the best practices. Doesn't matter tomorrow they say, they found out this stuff, right? You need to, okay, how do I implement that onto my workload? But you need to thoroughly look at it first, research about it. Okay, I can benefit from this thing. It can save me costs, can make my workload more secure, right? So this cycle basically ensures workloads are continuously improved and aligned with the AWS best practices. Right. So we're gonna go briefly through each of these stages from engage to improve, right? So let's start with the engagement, the first step, right? You define your workload boundaries, right? So as you know, you can run multiple workloads on the AWS environments, right? But now, when we are conducting a well-architected review, let's have some bounds so that we are not all over the place. We know exactly what we are doing, right? And when are we finishing it, right? So your bounds can be something like region, right? So AWS has a region where data is in different regions. You can provision all your services in one region or they can be in inter-regions. Let's say, okay, we're bounding our region to be the South African region, which is currently in Cape Town, right? So, okay, we're gonna first bound the region Cape Town. Okay, second bound can be an account, right? Development Hub, we have multiple AWS accounts, right? Now let's work on this account in this region, right? We take these 2 bounds, we move, right? Thirdly, another bound can be environment. We have development environment, we have staging environments, we have production environments. Like now, let's take the production environment for now, because this the development environment is just keep on pushing more features. They're being tested. Let's just take the production one that our users are focused on this one. You need to prioritize your users or customers, right? So their environments need to be a priority, needs to be well architected, fully fledged, right? Now you identify your stakeholders after making those bounds, okay? Your stakeholders can be your architects, your developers, your security guys, your operation guys, right? Everyone that's gonna be part needs to be involved at the beginning. You don't want to involve the architects at the end. No, they ask you what was happening. Now you have all that stuff to explain. No, involve everyone from the get-go to reduce all that stress that you're gonna have, right? Then now that everyone is here, we have defined the bounds. Let's agree on timelines and deliverables, right? This is what we want to achieve. When do we achieve it? Who does what? All that stuff, right? That's the first step, engagement. It's always nice to engage everyone. Don't engagement, right? So now, after engaging, what we do now, we discover, right? We want our workload to be well architected. Now let's discover the issues or risk in our software or product, right? So we launched the AWS Well-Architected tool. When you're launching that tool, it's gonna ask you for a lens. There are multiple lenses there, right? E.g., software as a service, right? You are hosting a software as a service application on your workload. You are hosting a generative AI application, data and machine learning application, financial service industry, or any kind of application. There's a lot of these lenses within that tool. So it asks you these so that it's gonna guide you accordingly, because from a financial services space, they are different. They are certain best practices when it comes to applications in that field. We go to generative AI applications, there are certain best practices which might not be the same as the ones in financial services space, right? So you need to know where does your application fit within these lenses. I just mentioned a few here, there's a lot more, right? Now, because we're discovering, we need to know some more information, just like a tool needs to know more information about our application within this particular workload. So we need to gather some documentation. The documentation can be your architectural diagram of the application, your usage data, okay? How frequently, when does traffic at its peak on my application, which can be SaaS or whatever, right? And what roles I'm using on the IAM, which is identity and access management, right? The budget reports, right? How much I've been targeting to spend and how much I actually spend. Because on AWS, you can also make stuff like budgets. Okay, I want to spend this much for this workload. But come month end, you're spending more, right? You don't want that. So let's gather all that information, put it here. It's going to help us assess, right? Now, this takes us to the third step, which is now assessment, right? So now we've taken all this information provided to the AWS Well-Architected tool. Now, let's assess, right? So now that's when now you're gonna answer pillar-based questions in the AWS tool. That Well-Architected tool is gonna ask you a question pillar by pillar, starting from operational excellence, security, all these pillars. So you need to know how much are you scoring in each of these pillars. That's gonna help you know what to prioritize, right? Okay, so identify these high-risk issues for remediation, because we're not just identifying these risk issues. We need to at some point action, that is remediate, right? Then you get a workload score per pillar. You score this much on security, you score this much on cost optimization, you score this much on reliability. What is it that you need to do, right? Take all these high-risk issues, put them here, right? And with assessment, what's the next step? Remediate, right? That's where now everyone is happy, right? We're getting our hands dirty. We've been talking, we've been having meetings, all that stuff, right? I know some of the technical guys, they just don't like speaking, right? They just want to action. This guy's gonna, okay, what do you want me to do, right? This is now their favorite step. Action, right? Prioritize high risk issues based on impact and effort. Okay, how does this high risk issue impact my workload, right? And what effort does it need, right? Now we're prioritizing them. This high impact, put it there. Need effort, this impact, prioritize, right? Assign tasks to responsible teams, right? Who needs to do what at what particular time, right? Then we can execute these fixes in sprints, right? So, okay, by end of sprint 1, we need to be having this. End of sprint 2, we need to be having this, right? Now you draft your timelines and stuff, right? So you know, okay, I will be done with everything by this particular time. So now everyone has something to do, right? We've been the architects, all the stakeholders we spoke of at the beginning, they all have now stuff to do, right? Now let's get the ball rolling and move. Action. We don't always want to assess, no, we're here to work. Let's make the application well architected. That's the goal, right? So now, after remediating, we need to document, right? So documenting helps with a lot of stuff, right? So we're recording the remediation action, right? So most of the time, what I found out when you're on the technical or I would say the engineering field, when you're doing stuff, right, most of the stuff you don't even know how to do, right? But you found out how to do it, you move. But the nice thing, if you document, okay, I was facing this issue, write it down. This is how I solve it, write it down, right? So that also help if a new guy joins your team, right? Now they face the same issue. Now, oh, no. They don't have to go now, research that thing. You can just say, go to this document, reference here, right? Now the issue is solved within 5 minutes, done, right? So documenting also helps with skills transfer, right? So now, because we document all of the stuff, we can generate comprehensive report for each stakeholder, right? So architects, here's a report. Devs, here's a report. Business, here's a report, right? Business gonna see what they're interested in, which I think is cost optimization most of the time, right? And their relationship with their clients or their application users, right? You need to keep these guys happy. the system needs to be up at all times, right? Their data needs to be safe. Yeah, need to make these guys happy, right? Now, step 6, improve, continuous improvement. You say rerun reviews periodically. You don't stop because, okay, you're gonna do all that remediation, your document stuff. Like, oh, my application is well architected. No, you don't stop, right? Keep on improving, keep rerun. Maybe every 3 months you run the review. Every 3 months you run. After having a rerun, right? So basically, you never stop improving. As I was saying, in our world, things change every day, every hour. So if you stop, you're gonna be left behind. I promise you. Okay, that's when now also in this improvement stage, you track metrics. Okay, these high risk issues we closed. Check. This is how much cost we saved. Check. These are the performance improvements. Check. Right? Okay. Because now this, let's say we run review today, we saved like 100 USD, right? Okay, let's see what's going to happen when you run 3 months later. Like, oh, we save a lot now. So you keep on saving, right? So now it sounds nice, right? When you talk about saving, basically you improve everything. You never stop improving because you always want to get more savings, right? All right, these are the steps you do to conduct a well-architected review. Now, let's talk about the benefits, right? Because we've been doing this well-architected, but why are we doing it, right? Business can always ask you, because you as a technical person, you can just go to business. We need our application to be, but business, like, what am I getting out of all that, right? So these are the few benefits that we have listed, right? Proactive risk reduction, right? So we're gonna say, no, application will always be up, that's less downtime, fewer security incidents, right? Security is very important, right? So you'll have less customers complaining about the application not working, their data not being safe, right? So you need to tell them, our data will encrypted address in transit, right? So no security breaches, right? Cost optimization. Now business smiles when you talk about that. Oh, gonna save cost, yes. Come make your application well architected. So we're gonna eliminate waste because sometimes when you provision services on the cloud, you provision another regions, the island region, you provision a service there, then you go back to your regular region that you use most, which can be Cape Town in my case. Then you forget about that service that you launched on another region. But the well-architected is gonna tell you, you have that service that you launched there and you are not using it. Why have it, right? So now when you are removing it, you're gonna save some costs, right? So business gonna smile when it comes to that one. Improve trust. So your application is gonna be more trusted with internal and external stakeholders. Your customers are going to be happy because your application is performing, your application is always high available, your application is very, very secured, right? So now everyone trusts you, trust your application, which can be assessed, generative AI, machine learning application, right? So now, these are the business benefits. Now, the technical benefits, because I can see some technical guys say that, what about us? We've been doing the work, what are we benefiting, right? So the technical guys benefit by getting the standardized architecture reviews, right? So regular reviews, okay, this is the standard way, this is how we review it. We don't have to now, we have to review, we have to go, okay, how do we do it? How do we do? You develop sort of a standardized way, right? Shared knowledge across teams, right? There was you document stuff. Now, so you need this, just go there, right? So now we're moving a bit faster because there's skills transfer all over the team. Someone new joins, sure, here's how we move, right? And trackable improvements in the AWS console, right? So if on the AWS console they say, okay, these are the high risk issues, 10 of them, right? And the technical guys go implement, right? And then now tomorrow morning they say, we have 4 of these. Oh, now I feel like Superman, because it shows that there's a lot of work that I've did from 10 to 4. Then I say, okay, I'm gonna push these, right? 2 days later, the well architected say, okay, oh, 0. Now you good, your environment is clean, right? That's how now you need to continuously go back, right? So it's always nice to see the progress, because if you just work without looking, what is it that have I achieved? It's not motivating to continue, right? So the AWS console is gonna show you these improvements, right? So that's some sort of motivation to keep on improving or optimizing your AWS workload, right? So now we've been speaking about this well-architected review. What is it? Why is it important? What are the steps that we take? But what is our approach at Development Hub? Because someone will say, oh, guys, how do you do it? Right? Because these are the steps. What is the approach? Because you can't just jump into the steps. That is, okay, you engage, you do this, you do this. No. What is the approach, right? Our approach here as Development Hub is very, very, very simple. We hold a discovery workshop first, because we can't say, oh no, on your workload, this is what you're going to be doing. No. Let's have a discovery workshop, right? Let's see what workloads do you have and what are the goals that you want to achieve by conducting the well-architected review, right? Okay, from there we run the review, maybe some analysis, 2 to 3 days, right? So analyze, so we can identify everything, right? Then from there, we deliver a detailed remediation plan or roadmap. Because of the workshop, we understood your workload, these are your goals, and this is the plan. Because of all that, you need to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, all right? We list everything down. Who's gonna do this, who's gonna do this, who's gonna do this, and when are we finishing, right? Because we can't just working for the sake of working. There's a lot of work that we need to do. By this time, we need to be done, right? Dark or blue, let's be done. Let's move on to the next thing, right? Now we give support, project-based implementation, right? So because of your workload and everything that you have identified, we're gonna structure some sort of support customized for you, because there's no generic support, because workloads and applications are different, right? Obviously, we've been discussing those lenses from the AWS Well-Architected tool. Different kinds of applications require different kinds of support, right? So that's why it's project-based, meaning for us it's the project, for you it's a workload, right? That's basically our approach, right? So now, how to get started, right? Okay, how do I get started? We're all in this together, right? How to get started? Getting started is very, 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 very easy. Choose your workload, right? You said there's production, dev, right? Choose your region. Just these bounds, right? Now you can just book a session with Development Hub. Simple, done. You don't have to think, no, just do work, don't think, we're gonna think for you, right? You're gonna do everything for you, right? So just choose your workload and conduct Dev Hub. That's it. Simple and easy, straightforward, right? Now, we are approaching the end of the session, right? We've discussed what is well-architected review, why is it important? We spoke about the 6 pillars, from operational excellence to sustainability, right? When to conduct the well-architected review, right? Now let's just get some of the few key takeaways from the session, right? So we did discuss, okay, where WAR, right? Not the guns blazing one, right? The AWS cloud blazing. Okay, it is a proven method for workload health, right? So I, as a person, the proven method for my health, right? There's, okay, this is what you need to eat. When you're feeling sick, go to the doctor, right? The same thing applies to the well-architected review. There's a proven method for the workload health, right? These are the steps that you need to take to keep your workload healthy. which is those steps that we discussed. But you don't stop, right? You keep on improving. You keep on improving, right? And it gives you the actionable insights, right? Those insights, they reduce risk and improve efficiency, right? So, okay, this is what's happening. This is what's happening, right? So I don't like this, or it's a high risk issue. How do I remove it, right? So now you take risk out and you continue being efficient, right? Risk down, efficiency up, right? So also regular reviews build long-term architectural maturity, right? So by keep on reviewing, you identify stuff like, oh, you get your aha moment whereby you change stuff, then now like you smile, right? The application smiles as well. The business team smiles, right? So basically these were the key takeaways from the session. So now guys, this is the end of the presentation, and I was very happy to present to you guys. But not really the end. I'm gonna give you guys some time to ask questions, right? Let's engage. Because if I don't allow you to ask questions like, no, that guy was not very nice, eh? So I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen and look at the questions from the chat, right? I hope you guys are still with me. All right, let's see. Do we have any questions? Let's see who's here. Okay, someone is writing here. I'm just gonna wait for a question, then answer. I hope that was very informative. Yes, Lawrence is saying from the comment section that was very, very informative. Right. Okay, I think we have a question there from the comments from Andre. I love the WAR approach. I love the WAR approach before even a small company can get involved. Yes, if you have a workload, Andre, on your AWS environment, get in touch, right? So it's always nice when it's a small company, you can get running fairly so that by the time you scale, reaching more users, right, you now have a application that's ready for the world. You don't have to stress about, will I be able to scale? Will my application be secure? No, start small. When it's small, it's the best time to action, right? I hope that answers your question, Andre. Okay, we have another question from Luyanda. How often should an organization conduct a well-architected review? Nice one, Luyanda. Nice one. So you need to identify your workloads. You need to know what they're doing, right? So you can have you can conduct your workload every now and then, like on a monthly basis, right? Depending on how much you push features to that environment, which can be production or dev, right? Or staging, right? If you're conducting, I would say, on a production environment, and you guys push upgrades on a maybe weekly basis, right? So you can say, okay, let's conduct WAR maybe on a monthly basis, right? So that thing does not stop, right? You just keep on improving. You can maybe say every 3 months, 2 times a year, once a year, which I don't recommend, right? So maybe 3 months, right? 3 months conduct, right? Right. I hope that answers your question, Loyanda. Okay. Andre is saying something. Andre is engaging. Hey, Andre. Andre is saying, I suppose scalability pressure is then removed. You scale with confidence, right? So they say your application is now getting bigger, it's getting bigger. What I'm like, no, it's fine, guys. I don't care how many users, it's fine. Just take it out there. I'm ready, right? It's nice when you start small. That's fine, it's fine. Everything's gonna be just good. Yes, and the scalability pressure is completely removed from the equation, right? And especially the cost, yes. And it seems like you're a businessman, you're more concerned about cost, eh? Yes, the cost can be an issue, right? That's why we need to always have a sharp eye when it comes to cost optimization. People tend to provision more resources than they need, right? So let's eliminate that one also. So right size resources so that we can pay for exactly what you need. If you remember, when I started the conversation, I said, we architect your cloud so that it gives you rain when you need it, right? If you're tired of rain, just stop, gives you an umbrella, right? Gives you sun when you need it, right? I hope that answers your question also, Andre. Now let's move on to Luyanda. Oh, we have another Luyanda here, Luyanda Voy. What advantages would my application with WAR provide over my competitors without WAR? Remember, when you have WAR, right, you get a badge, your application is well architected. Now it's going to be easy for you to navigate through the AWS marketplace. So you're going to reach more customers, right? We also have a platform called a marketplace, whereby now you can go look for application. So if your application is well architected, you're going to stand out from everyone who's there, right? Okay, this application, there's a mark next to it, is well architected. It has been reviewed by AWS solution architects. So and you are good to go. If you don't have a wall, like without your application, because there's nothing making it to stand out, right? I hope that answers your questions also. Luyanda V. Okay. Someone is asking the Kulegani, they're saying, can you automate the WAR process? The process you can automate part of it, but not everything, right? There are steps that you can automate, right? You can just write your custom solution that's going to integrate with the AWS Well-Architected tool, right? But you cannot fully automate it as of yet, right? But a portion of it, it can be automated, yes. I hope that answers your questions. Luyanda Ndebele says it did answer my question. Thank you very much for the response, Luyanda Ndebele. Andre is saying that is incredible. I love these things. Thank you very much, Andre. Who take the responsibility for security using WAR, right? So remember, Andre, so when we start the WAR, we engage. The first step of the process is engage, right? So we need to have all the stakeholders involved. So we distribute responsibility according to our roles and our capabilities, right? We know who's our security guy, right? So, okay, you're gonna focus on security. We know who's this, right? So who does what at what time? So we now delegate that on our engagement stage, right? To engage all the stakeholders involved. Right. I hope that answers your question, Andre. Do you have any more questions, guys? Right. Thank you guys for engaging with me. Eh? Seems like you've been here with me. Eh? Okay. Any more questions? Okay. It seems not. All right. I'm just gonna thank you very much, guys, for joining the session. So what you need to do now, you can find us. It's easy to find DevHub. Just you want to conduct WAR, you want to consult anything, right? Okay. I think we have something on the chat. We have order there. They talking about shared responsibility model. All right. So I'm just gonna go briefly through the shared responsibility model, right? So you as an AWS user, it's AWS this side. So the responsibilities of you and AWS are different. So AWS is responsible for some part of the security, and you are responsible for some. You need to play your role, because these are services that you launch from there. They now become yours, but under AWS management. Some you manage it yourself. So some part of the security you need to be accountable of, because if you provision a machine, the computer, a C2 instance, no one is going to say update it unless you provision in the manner that you say, AWS, I don't want to manage this thing, right? Manage it yourself. But if you opt for the option whereby you're going to manage it yourself, make sure the security, right? AWS is going to take care of the security. Okay, it's always safe, their security is on their side, but patching the updates, it's your stuff, right? Okay. I hope that gives you some order. Okay. Andre is saying it did. I think it did answer your questions. A great presentation. Thank you very much, Andre. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Let's see. Okay. No one. Okay. So if you guys want to, get more information, want to contact DevHub, you can find us on LinkedIn as Development Hub. You can find us on our website, which is www.developmenthub.co.za. That's where now we also have event section there. So you can see when is our next event. We have a lot of events lined up. It's still gonna be very exciting, guys. You need to keep on engaging with us. This has been a very exciting journey so far, and it's only gonna get better, right? So, yes, LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, website, TikTok. Yes, we're all over there. It's easy to find us, right? Yeah. All right. If there's no any further questions, guys, I would like to thank you very much for joining our session. Looking to see you on the next section. Right. Okay, now I will take it back to the person who introduced me, which is our host. Onela, please come over. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers. See you on the next one.
Thank you very much, Ezile, for that. It was very insightful indeed. I learned a few stuff. To our viewers at home, thank you very much for joining us in this session. We will have another one. We'll keep updating on our social media platforms. Like Ezile has mentioned, you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on email. We are Development Hub. You can also go to our website, which is www.developmenthub.co.za. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope to see you in our next workshop. Goodbye.